Hey unemployed people, I assume you're watching this video because you're either unemployed, hate your current job, or just like watching my videos. So in this video, I'm gonna share with you some of the tips I've gathered throughout the years. I wish someone would have outlined all these for me, but now that I have a job, I can share them with you. So I'm gonna try to help you get a job in this economy. It probably won't be your dream job, but a job is a job. And I don't claim to be an expert or anything, but these are just some of the things I did, and that's how I got my job. It may not work for all of you, but the general idea is still the same. And I know you're a smart person, so you can pick and choose and see what works for you. First, I like to thank God for always providing, and for my friends and family who prayed for me when I was unemployed. As some of you may know, I was laid off from my previous job last year, and I was unemployed for 5 months. It may not seem like a long time, and I know some of you are unemployed for even longer, but for me it was a really difficult time because I applied to 90 different jobs, and constantly getting rejection letters, it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you, or you should have studied more, or you're just a failure, and things at home didn't make it any better. And when I thought things could get worse, it did, and it was just really hard for me. I'm not going to go into detail, but for those of you in that situation, just remember to be persistent and that you are not a failure. Just keep trying, and you'll eventually get a job. With that said, get out your notebooks, because even though you graduated, schooling doesn't stop there. I'm going to fly by these ideas really quick, so it's up to you during your own time to research them more in detail. So before you apply for the job, make sure you meet the minimum requirements, or at least be close to it. If they're asking for 10 years of project management experience and you don't even have your degree, you probably shouldn't consider it. And if you're trying to be an aerospace engineer but you never took calculus, then you probably shouldn't go for it either. You can get your foot in the door by volunteering or interning, and that way it may lead to a full-time job. You can research the career and consider taking more classes so you meet those requirements. If anything, just apply for it, see what happens. You might get the job. Get organized. Have a good resume. Update it, proofread it. It should include your contact information, education, relevant experience, and skills. And then have a professional critique it, because they probably know what's best. They may have conflicting ideas with you, so it's up to you to consider what you think is better, and you can pick and choose. Your friends may say your resume looks good, but what do they know? Tailor it to each specific job. I had 4 different resumes. And remember, I said this before, but proofread it. Watch out for grammar, watch out for spelling, because if an employer sees a mistake, they're going to throw it away. You should also include a cover letter. This involves researching the company and showing how you fit the position. Use specific keywords that were mentioned in the ad, and you can read more about them online. You should also have your diploma scanned into a PDF, your transcript scanned, and also any certifications that you may have. I like to have a Word file with my resume information. That way when I'm filling out applications online, I can do some copy and paste action really quickly to fill out the forms. And I also had a folder for every job I applied to. I print PDF'd their job posting. That way I can go back and see what I applied to in the future if they ever call me back, which they didn't. It just keeps things more organized. The search. So try not to be too selective. Be open to other jobs that are kind of relevant to your major. Don't just say, I'm going to work for one company and I'm not going to apply to anything else, because what happens if you don't get it? And apply to everything you're remotely interested in. Apply everywhere. The truth is, no one is looking out for you. You're an adult and you have to look out for yourself. So you're like a piece of sand on the beach. You're not very visible, but by applying to more places, all of those pieces of sands come together and they become a larger piece of sand or a rock. By applying to different places, you increase your chances of getting a job, and you can always reject them if you don't like it, but don't get sucked in if you know you'll hate it. Network. Let everyone know that you're looking for a job. Networking, it's not about what you know, but who you know, until you get the job at least. And if you don't know anything, you'll probably get fired unless you work for the public industry. Keep a professional attitude towards everyone, even if you are fired. don't go burning bridges. If you hated your old boss and wanted to explode in their face, you should probably try to keep it to yourself, because you might be working for them later. Or any coworkers that you really hate their guts, try to be nice to them, because they might be your boss one day. Other methods include cold contact emailing, looking for businesses online and just sending them email saying, hey, I'm interested in work, are you guys hiring? You can try different sites like Craigslist, Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster maybe, school job searches. You can set alerts so you get an email when there's a job available, but be careful who you give your information out to. There's some stalkers out there and non-legitimate companies, so make sure you look at their email and it's like at companyname.com. I actually got my job from a Craigslist posting. I posted my qualifications on Craigslist, and the president of my current company emailed me, and that was pretty cool. Remember to follow up every so often by calling them or emailing them to see if they got your application or what the status is of your application, and remember to reiterate that you are still interested. I don't know what's a good time frame to do this, maybe every other day or once a week, but try not to be too annoying. Be persistent and do not be discouraged when you get rejection letters. Just move on. You're probably better than them anyway. It's not you. Sometimes it can be. Keep motivated and be persistent. One thing that my friends and I did when we were unemployed was we held resume parties. So what that is we get together and we just start applying for jobs like the entire time. So my friends had laptops, and I don't currently own a laptop anymore. So I brought my desktop to the resume party. So it's just this big desktop computer and my 22-inch monitor and keyboard, and that way you'll keep motivated. You'll spur one another on. I just hate it when there's an entry-level position and they're asking for someone with a PhD or like 5 or 10 years of experience. So sometimes you have to spend hours filling out personal information, education, experience, references, tailoring, covering letters, and then they already had someone in mind. I just hate that. The interview. So before the interview, wouldn't it help if you had a list of all the questions they'd ask you? So in the following frames, these are about 100 questions that they may ask. If you can answer all of them out loud, then you'll probably do pretty well during the actual interview itself. I spent a few days answering all these questions, and you can also rehearse with a friend. But during my internship interview, a lot of the questions were really similar. So every time they asked me a question, boom, I'd answer it. Ask me another question, boom, I'd answer it right away. My first few interviews were not that great. They would ask me a question, and then I would get stuck, and I just, I think for a really long time. And that was probably really bad. You should also research the company, study if it's going to be a technical interview. Remember to be excited and explain why you fit the position. Tailor it to your experience. Ask questions that are really specific to the company, like projects that they worked on, to show that you're really interested in the company. During the interview or the day of, remember to dress the part. It's better to overdress than underdress, and be on time or earlier. 15 minutes is probably good. Bring copies of your resume or portfolio. Have a notebook ready so you can take notes. Maintain eye contact. Get their business card so you can contact them later. Make sure they feel comfortable, and to relieve some pressure, it's not just about them hiring you, it's also if you want to work there too. I know it's a real pain in the butt going to interviews, because you have to set aside time from your daily schedule. You might be taking time off of work too, and sometimes you have to drive really long distances or maybe even fly to places. So try to do it right the first time, but I know it's not your fault if you don't do it well. For phone interviews, set up a specific time and make sure you'll be somewhere with good reception if you have a cell phone. I'm not sure how many of you still use landline phones, but also be somewhere quiet so you can hear what they're saying, and then get their contact information to follow up. After the interview, make sure you send them a thank you letter. It can be an email or an actual letter. I like to email them the day after so they can receive it in their inbox bright early in the morning. And I like to highlight points from the interview to make sure that I was paying attention and I'm really interested in the company. And remember to follow up with them maybe every 2 or 3 days to see how they're doing and what their decision is. And don't be discouraged if you didn't get the job. Just keep applying, and sometimes people take time. Some companies don't respond for months or even maybe a year later. Happened to me. And I applied to 90 different jobs, and I had several interviews, and throughout the years I failed many interviews, but they're all good learning experiences for the next interview. And after I got my job, a lot of companies are actually calling for me now, even though it's been like half a year later. If you do get an offer, or if you're lucky enough to get multiple offers, suggest an increase in salary, but make sure you kind of gauge how much you can push, because sometimes they might hire someone else because you're asking for too much. And also remember to be grateful every day that you do have a job. Be thankful for everyone who helped you along the way, and try to remember to save 3 to 4 months into the future if you can. Something called a rainy day fund, if you don't know, because you never know when you'll be laid off, and sometimes you have to ask yourself, do I need that entertainment system or do I need that LV bag? Because that may be the difference between eating decent food or starving and dying. If you found this video to be helpful, please thumbs up, share, or subscribe. You can also share your stories in the comment section below. Thank you, and God bless.